Hello, everyone. Oh, pardon me. And that's the way to start the episode. How's it going, everyone? This is the Bremners Bhoys podcast with CJ, Jason, and Nickson, our regular uglies. But we're joined by a special guest ugly. He'll be joining us for at least this episode and next episode. He's a Leeds tragic. He's a Bamford hater. And he's also a Bielsa lover and cannot get off Gelhardt's dick. His name is Pete. There he is. There's Pointer.
The big man.
Good morning.
The big man. So before we get started, Pete, and talking about our topics for today, give us a bit of a background about yourself. What made you start following Leeds? Why you love Leeds, and everything about your journey with Leeds.
Well, way back in Australia when it was black and white TV, there was only two colours. There was a white team and a black team, and I think Leeds were on the telly at that time. So I said, I like that white team. And then when the colour came, picked the whites.
You still liked it. Yep.
Yeah, and that's how I started. So,
And didn't you have a stint over in Leeds in 85?
Yes, I went over there in 1985. I had a bit of a trial match with them. I had a few other trial matches around, but 25, too old. Yeah. So when 21, I probably would have had a chance.
Yeah, but hey, you gave it a crack, and
I gave it a crack. Great,
a lot of
great
people
fun.
wouldn't have even gotten over there. So wow,
great fun, great experience. You know, how would you put it? The blokes just needed someone that was their level when you chatted, because the fans were just fans and they're mobbed. Yeah, you know, and just someone to just have a chat with them in. You know, I'm from Australia. Sort of thing. Where can we find Leeds in Australia? You know. Yeah. At that time, it was only just me, I think, in the 80s.
There was a few. There was my dad in the 80s. He idolised Peter Lorimer.
Yeah. Well, there was. You only saw the half of Leeds in the World Cup. You only saw Leeds when you saw him in the FA Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when they showed it, but they never showed. I think when the match of the day was on, Leeds were dirty Leeds, and they never got to get on the TV.
Yep. So, Don Revie's dirty Leeds. Yep.
Yes. So it was really starving for Leeds. You know, it was really bad. So
that is fair enough. Well, thank you for that, Pete. And let's get started on to this week's episode. The topic's obviously mainly about the Watford win. Finally, we got points on the board that aren't from a bloody draw. And we do need to quickly go back in time a week and hold Nickson accountable for saying if Roberts has a good game, he will shit in his hands and clap. So Nickson, Roberts had inarguably the best game he's had all season. So we're going to, not right now, but throughout the week, we will post a video of Nickson doing something that we all come up with that he has to do in lieu of pooping in his hands and clapping.
Other than I'm not going to shave my head.
No, we won't make you do that. Maybe the mustache instead. Or
that's not going either.
You know what? half the stash, just half of it.
I have to work.
Half the stash until the next game against Southampton.
That's not happening. I have to work. It took me 4 months to get
we'll work it out.
We'll figure out something, mate. It's all good. Right. We had a great win against Watford.
Roberts only came on the 78th minute.
But he had a great game regardless. He had a great game.
All right, well, then fling it over to Pete and let's see what he has to say about Roberts then. That's like pretty natural
Pete.
Straight into it.
Yes, Pete, let's go with Roberts' talk against Watford. He came on in you said 78th minute. How do you think?
78th minute?
Yep.
And he was told to go up front. You could see Bielsa waving to get up there, get up there, get up there. He had to perform.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you had Gelhardt and Greenwood and Creswell sitting on the bench. So if anything happened, he would have been it would have been there. But like as I've heard that the experience is not quite there. So, you know, he's a trusted forward, so he's trusted, so he's away he goes. So
that's fair. And what's your assessment of Roberts' impact on the game once he came on in the 78th minute, Peter?
Well, he made the chances. He showed his ability that he never showed before. Mm-hmm. He was full of running.
He was.
Yeah. You know, the game before when he got on the pitch, he got a yellow card. So
yeah.
And that was a clumsy thing what he did there, but he didn't perform in that one. I don't know. We won't talk about that one anyway. But but I was very surprised that he was full of running and he was a lot more faster than he was, and he put the ball into the box for the guys to get onto. Mm-hmm. So very impressed in that behalf. Whether he can keep up the pace, that's the other thing. Like the boys were getting the boys up front were getting a bit tired.
They were getting a bit overcooked, yeah.
So I thought, but with James coming out the wide and him coming in, it
wasn't
made them running
perfect all game.
Like James, they were getting really knackered. So
you can understand James getting knackered because I don't know if anyone that's not a Leeds fan saw it, but there was a blatant not called penalty, and the player kept doing it throughout the whole bloody game on James, and no wonder James was bloody knackered after the end of the game because I'll find the replays for the episode when I'm editing, and the people who are watching this will see just how many times this the defending player took him out intentionally and should have been a foul every other time because this one time it was in the box and it should have been a penalty. But that's obviously bygones be bygones. We did get the 3 points, on the win, but we created a lot of missed opportunities. A lot of opportunities that went begging, you could say. And we'll cross it over to Jason. And what are your thoughts on our missed opportunities? And who were your 2 standout players for the game?
Oh, look, it's one of those ones where we created a lot of chances and obviously only came away with a 1 goal to the good win. But I guess the positive in that is that we are creating the chances. We're getting those opportunities. And to be fair, I think that was, apart from the Meslier drop of the cross, that was one of the more comfortable 1-0 wins that I've seen. Watford didn't really offer much at all.
I think we had 70-something% possession in the first half and 60-something in the second.
Yeah, they had no sense of it. They've obviously got that Sar up on the wing, but he was kept pretty quiet. But I really thought they didn't really offer much in terms of attacking wise. But
defending, they were good. A few missed fouls and penalties.
Well, they were given they defended well, but they were also given a few. They were a bit lenient. The ref was a little bit lenient, obviously, towards a few of their fouls. That he'd miss one, then he'd give one a little bit later in the game.
To make up for.
Yeah, but standout players. I thought the team played really well, and I thought the subs, obviously, like Nickson and Pete talked about, Tyler coming on, came on and made a real impact, and I was really impressed with the impact that Tyler made when he came on. Obviously, like the boys have just said, a few of those young boys like Gelhardt and Somerville are obviously at the heels of
he's frozen
him now. So there's a bit of pressure on him to, when he does get his chance, he's got to take it, because if he doesn't,
you just froze hard when you started talking about that player. So I'm going to do a clap so then we can then re-record that little bit.
Where did it freeze?
Nickson, you'll remember.
Why do you think I'll remember? I've got
because I know
like this. Well, I know you're talking about them. Not they were really good defensively, and then you started saying we've got Gelhardt and Greenwood on the bench, and then
and that's about it.
Is that where it froze?
Yeah. And then you had a freeze, and then you came back after that. You missed it.
Blame Telstra. Blame Telstra. It's all good.
All good. In 3, 2, go, Jason.
In terms of standout players, I think that the whole team played extremely well, even the subs. And when we talked, obviously, Pete and Nickson mentioned about Tyler coming on, and yourself made it about him coming on and making an impact. He really did. He came on and he stretched the back 4 and he ran up players and he created. I'm hoping a new nickname, Tyler the Creator, will stick at some point.
That'd be
it should. I reckon.
I mean, obviously, there's a bit of pressure on him now, like the boys were saying about, Gelhardt and Somerville are really sort of at his heels and pushing for that, to be that option at sub, and even, I guess, push the boys for even a start in the future. So there's really a bit of pressure on him in terms of having to come on and make an impact. And that patience that Bielsa's shown with him, and I guess Leeds fans in general, that patience will run out at some point if he doesn't perform. Yeah, so he did well when he came on. in terms of, I guess, standout players, in particular, obviously, you can't go past Llorente.
Yeah.
The king has returned.
Yeah. I mean, there was even a stat that I came across, and without Llorente in the team, we concede, I think it's 2.19 goals per game on average, whereas he's in the side, it goes down to 0.79. And even just his ability to be able to distribute the ball and break the lines with his passing, and of course, he's got a bit of pace to get.
Our passing that game, not just from Llorente, was crisp and we were also mastering interceptions all game.
100%. So he was brilliant. He makes a massive difference to
he does.
Back four, not just from his defensive side, but also driving us forward as well. Obviously, another one we have to mention is Big Shaq, Jamie Shackleton. He had an amazing game. What do you think of that one, Nickson? I know he's one of your favourite players.
He's doing what he does best. He's running and passing. He's creating opportunities for those guys at the front. He's getting the ball out of the back line, straight up the front. What more can you ask for? I love the guy. He's an absolute legend. I'm so glad that they start him all the time.
Honestly, he had such an impressive bloody game.
It was crazy.
I know you're on his PP the whole time and have been the whole time.
Justified. He's some player.
But no. Only justifiable in my mind this week because I've not. Let me put it this way: as in he's been good.
Come on.
Let me finish. He's been good the last few weeks, but he's not proved himself at the hype that Nickson's been giving him until this week. Is what I'm trying to say.
To be fair, I think he's a brilliant footballer. I rate him strongly.
I definitely rate him now.
I think the best compliment we can give him is that when Luke Ayling is fit, he's going to find it difficult to slot back in at right back. If Shaq obviously continues his form,
he'll probably find his position to be left right out.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Well, they could get rid of Click.
No, they won't. Or they'll push Click up. Or they'll push Click up to like a centre defensive mid type position. Now, next topic we've got.
Before we cross on, I was
just going to
say, you were talking, just a quick thought. You were saying that this was the game for you that sort of proved Shackleton in your eyes.
Yeah.
What didn't you see in him 2 games ago that you saw?
Everything you've been trying to say about him.
So you didn't see him running from the back line to the front line and then back again?
Oh, I saw him doing that, but I didn't rate him. I rated him enough to be a first team starter, but to be subbed off in the 50th minute, not play a whole 90 minutes. Not saying he doesn't have the stamina for 90 minutes. I'm not saying he doesn't have the stamina for it or the speed. I'm saying I didn't rate him to be a 90-minute player.
Well, then for me, I get the. Oh, sorry, you going?
No,
but I do as of this week just gone because he really did prove himself.
I think it's just about getting opportunities, and I honestly think Shackleton is. You could put him anywhere. I think he's just overall he's just a good footballer, and he's really intelligent for how old he is, and it's just about.
He was pure class against Watford, and I'll definitely be doing the player in focus for the Southampton game. I'll cover Shaq. That way I can really see how bloody, how great he goes next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, so you said if he wasn't going to play the full 90 minutes, in your ideal world, because in my ideal world, I'd have him front and center all the time. Just cameras straight on him. No, but in your ideal world, who would you sub on for him and why?
Well, last game in particular, I would have brought on Stroik for him at around the 70th minute because Stroik was coming back from the red card. Or I would have started Stroik and then brought on he brought on Shackleton at around the 50th minute at the same time, as in either. But that's who I would have replaced him with.
Makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense. Because Stroik's a good player. No doubt about it.
And you can't leave Stroik out of the starting lineup. If you've got Shackleton,
he has earned his spot.
But also so is Shackleton. That's what I'm saying. He did so well. He's earned his first starting spot. So it'll be a matter of who's going to get the spot next game against Southampton. And for people who want to know, find out in our next episode next week and with our predicted lineup for next week's for the Southampton game.
Good problem.
Cresswell won't get a start at all, Pete. I'm sorry. He won't get a start for the rest of the season, I don't think. Unless there's injuries. There's got to be injuries to Stroik, Llorente, Ayling, because Ayling can play a bit out of position into centre back. And there's got to be Shackleton. There's got to be 4 injuries, in my opinion, for Cresswell to get another start.
You know what the beautiful thing is though, that is such a good problem to have.
It is, isn't it? It is.
And you know that whoever gets put in there is going to do a job. But I think
absolutely,
as far as the back two go, not going to drop a captain, and Llorente
definitely not going to drop Cooper.
Llorente is the world class established centre back there, so I think anyway.
I agree with you, Jace.
We could obviously talk about that until the cows come home. But the beautiful thing is,
we can talk about it till the cows come home.
Yeah, and we will.
Look, there's the cows.
Getting dark.
Yeah,
you can see the cows just right over there.
Yeah. Well.
No, absolutely. And now, obviously, touching on the Watford game for a bit more, it was Calvin's 200th game and a milestone game for him, and we pulled the win out of it for him. We scored in the 18th minute and held on to the lead for the whole game. Big ups to Calvin for winning on such a milestone game. So congrats to him and congrats to Leeds on getting that. I'll play a little yay, or like automated laugh track sort of thing. But in saying that though, Calvin has ruled himself out of at least the first of 2 England international games across the next week because of you could say calf strain, which apparently, according to Pete and his insider news, was carrying it for about the last 2 weeks, which also explains a bit how he was a bit haphazard against West Ham. First of all, we'll cross over to Pete for his thoughts on that and whether he thinks he'll be fit in time for the Southampton game. Calvin, not Pete. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, well, with Calvin, like a calf strain, they're one of the hard ones to heal up.
Mm.
So 2 weeks, for him not to run, is going to be, hard because, with dynamic tape, they can put on to separate that tear that's in there. It can work, but
you're only working it.
It's not good for the first team. It's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Yeah. So the main thing there is that he's going to have 2 weeks rest and physio and acupuncture and whatever they want to do on it. So I don't think he'll. It's got to heal completely with the ultrasound. They'll see it in ultrasound whether it's healed up. If it's not healed and there's a bit of scar, then they won't put him on.
And who replaces him, do you reckon, Pete?
Well, you could.
Do you reckon Gelhardt or Greenwood?
McKinty?
McKinstry, yeah. Yep.
McKinty, yeah.
Yep.
And, Greenwood can play in the middle.
Yep.
In that sense. I don't know about Creswell if he wants to play in a different position.
Or does he play Harrison? Does Bielsa start Harrison there?
In the middle?
I'd like to see that.
Well, he is a mid. I think he is a mid.
I think Harrison would like to get off the wing to get a bit more vision in the game to...
Well, that's the thing. His natural position is midfielder. He's playing out of position on the wing. So maybe
he's my pick for the midfielder.
Yeah, maybe Bielsa puts Harrison there for at least the Southampton game and sees how he goes. What do you think on that, Jace?
I mean,
again, it's a great thing to have this options.
Yeah, I think if
lightheaded from it.
If Calvin doesn't go there, you think Mr. Fix-It Dallas just as a thinking,
okay. Or do you play Dallas Harrison together in the defensive mids?
I think Dallas is always going to. I think Harrison's always going to be a winger at Leeds. I don't think there'll be much of a move.
Don't say that. One can only
personally, that doesn't mean. I mean, not about who's right and who's wrong. It's just my thoughts.
No, it's all good, mate.
Dallas is the natural option there that will drop in for Calvin or even Shaq. If Luke Ayling's fit, Shackleton's proven that he sort of naturally sits behind the midfield at times as well, and as the game progresses naturally anyway. So for me, I know we've talked a bit about Shackleton, but he'd probably be a natural swap there for Calvin, and he could do a job. So either him or Dallas, usually obviously Mr. Fix-It, like we said. So
Stewie Dallas.
I was going to say, I reckon next they're going to do a clap so I can edit this bit out. One of the next compilation videos, Bob the Builder, can he fix it? Yes, he can, as a Stuart Dallas compilation.
Yeah.
but something to do with that. Anyway, back to that. So you were very animated Jason, with your thoughts on the not penalty. We've seen the footage. The fans might get a glimpse at it. It's going to be a very filtered, very bleeped out, a bit of everything. But that's only if they get it.
Guys are working with children's checks, CJ. Let him
No, I'm saying if we get 1,000 likes on this episode, we will show people his reaction, but it will be bleeped out.
Jason, do you consent to that? Do you consent to having your video shown?
We'll see how we go.
Boys and
I was going to say we can mute it, as in we can always, as I said, the swear words will be cut out of the. They won't hear.
So the whole thing will be cut.
No,
yeah, look, it was a moment of pure emotion.
It was good. It
was
a great moment.
I nearly kicked the bloody hole in the wall.
No, I'm not that. No, I'd say
it's not that bad.
In my daily life, I'm very calm and collected. But I think when I watch Leeds, the emotion comes out, and at that moment when I thought we had a stone cold penalty,
all of us thought it was a penalty.
It was obstruction, and then he brought him down, which is a free kick anywhere else on the pitch every day of the week. But I did share a few profanities, and I was in my dressing gown doing it as well. So that was
okay. Yeah. Okay, so 1 second. So Jason, looking back on what should have been a penalty, what are your thoughts on how the ref handled that and how the flow of the game was impacted by the Dan James not penalty?
Oh, look, the referee, I thought overall had a good game in general across the 90 minutes, but I think he was a little bit lenient at times and a little bit inconsistent. On that penalty, that's a stone cold penalty. That's every day of the week. Dan James is
Liverpool. That's a red card and a penalty.
Well, Dan James has gone round the defender and he's put his speedy boots on and he's going to get that ball every single time. Defender's put his arm across. Dan James has gone past him. He's dragged him down. Every day of the week, without doubt, it's a penalty. I mean, we did get away. We won with Meslier at the end, so I sort of it evens it out across the game there if you were to argue that. But definitely a penalty. We go 2-0 up and it's almost game done. Yeah,
it's more or less right. Sit back in the co-pilot seat and just, let it do the job.
What do you boys think?
Go ahead. What are your thoughts, Nick?
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree wholeheartedly. When I saw it, I was just screaming out like Jason, it's a penalty. That's a penalty. We're all good now. And then when the decision came through, I was I nearly kicked a hole in the wall.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even look at it. They didn't even go back. Didn't even look at it. What's the point of having it there if they're not going to use it? That's what I was at the time.
I was going to say that so much of that had to be a penalty. I sort of put the phone down and kept doing what I was doing. And then by the time I picked up the phone and maybe 30 seconds later to go check if they'd confirmed it, it was like, no penalty. And I was like, what?
And they're not even looking at it.
I didn't even look at the bloody thing. Give it a chance. If this was any other team, if this was bloody Ronaldo's Man United,
if it was Liverpool,
and bloody
if it was Norwich,
team, even if it was Norwich or bloody West Brom or anyone else.
Well, on the Leeds app, they've got on the commentary of the game when the commentator's sitting in the box up there and they show and the penalty, and they're all up like us in arms going penalty, penalty, penalty. And then you could see them going, where's the review? Where's the review?
Yeah, it wasn't there, was it?
Where's the review? What, they're going to VAR? That they were in amazement. Nothing went.
Yeah. And when it should have.
Nothing went there.
When it should have. And it's bloody awful. One good
disgraceful
thing did come out of the game. I mean, you could say good,
other than the
win. Watford's coach was sacked.
That wasn't that good. Look, hold up. Look. They're that early on into the season.
He just promoted the team out of
Why would you sack him straight off the bat? Like, it's like just saying, oh, you've done so well at work.
Leeds.
You're our best employee at such and such a workplace. Oh, wait, you dropped something on the floor. Out.
Well, look,
the way they played against Leeds was nothing but Don Revy level of Leeds, dirty Leeds. So I think,
but hold up. But there's still room for improvement. And I guess, look, the thing about the whole Don Revy dirty Leeds thing is, I believe during that time, our player, the confidence within the players themselves was lower than it is now. If you look at the guys now, they play with absolute conviction. They know they don't have to play dirty to win, to score. And they have great communication and stuff
Except
like that.
Watford.
Obviously, their team is still growing, mate. Like I get that, but if they can get away with it for now, I'm not saying it's right, but why sack him?
Oh, that game was a scapegoat. I think they've had his head on the chopping board since the preseason, in all honesty.
But he promoted them.
I know.
Like
I
saying
still
to
think they've had his,
Bielsa,
I know. I still
go.
think they've had his head on the chopping board.
I don't know why.
just that
Because, I mean, they've come up and they've won 3 out of the first 7, or 2 out of the first 7 games. They've got 7 points on the board.
More than we did until that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just the Leeds effect.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
they're -3. They're -3 on goals, and we're -7 on goals.
Yep. And there's a new coach. I can't remember his name, but the new manager for Watford.
Claudio Ranieri's
that's the one.
That's the coach. Yeah.
What do you think and how he's going to go? I know this isn't Leeds topic right now, but I thought, a bit of chat because it's from the Leeds game. How do you think it's going to go, guys? We'll start with Jace.
Well, Claudio Ranieri, he's to be honest with you, I thought, it's a shame they've got him, because if Bielsa retires, I wouldn't mind someone like that. At Leeds,
right? Yeah.
He's the CV that he's got. He's coached Roma, Fiorentina. He's coached in Italy. He's coached in France. Obviously, took Leicester to their first Premier League, which was in 2016. Which was obviously you would have won a lot of money if you'd have put even $5 on that. So no one ever expected them to do that. He's a good coach. He's with a good resume, essentially.
He's basically Bielsa, in all honesty.
Well,
he shoots Klopp out of the park. He just knocks him out of the park. Klopp's overrated.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know Klopp's overrated.
It's a big. To be honest with you, like you said, I think if you said they've had his head on the chopping board, if you're thinking about it now, it might have just been that he became available and they've gone, we can't pass up on this kind of manager, maybe.
Yeah, it could have been that as well.
Maybe, I don't know.
And they used that game as a scapegoat to sack him.
Or it could be like that stands in terms of the reason why they sacked him. But in terms of the media coverage, I think there's a lot of media hype saying, it was the Leeds game. Look, Leeds.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the Leeds game was definitely a scapegoat.
And that might not have been the case. Maybe
absolutely.
the media might have scapegoated him, but the team might have said, look, you're doing really well.
We actually had plans for him to
this,
leave until this, when this play. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Got this once in a lifetime opportunity. We know it's not the best time now.
Yeah.
But look, we can't pass this one up. So you're going to have to step down. Whereas the media would be like, oh my God, he stepped down. It's Leeds' fault. There you go.
Yeah. You see, maybe, absolutely. I think maybe the staff and the higher ups and the owner and stuff of Watford maybe even said in the preseason, look, where like they mutually came to an agreement of, right, once Ranieri becomes available, you're gone, but will you commit to the team until such a time it's available? And it's just a matter of it's happened after the Leeds game.
Look, if Bielsa had come to Leeds when, one of 20 managers were at Leeds, like Paul Heckingbottom at the time, get him out the door and get Bielsa in.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, surely you agree with us on that one, Pete. Like, surely.
Oh, definitely. Well,
it's a bit dark.
If you look at the Watford, like me being a soccer tragic, I'm a member of all their clubs, and they are saying that he was rude to the players all the time. He demanded so much out of them, and he was absolutely so rude to them that they had no respect for him. And that was one of the calls on the Watford app.
Wow.
On the Watford,
on Watford's official app or on their pages? Because I was going to say
on their pages.
Watford
on the official app, on their pages.
Yeah.
So,
but at the same time, Nickson, it would also have been on their official page. Like, it wouldn't be a group, it'd be a statement from the page, maybe.
Ooh.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
I'll check that out. That might be quite interesting to like edit in a little.
thing
absolutely. I'll blast it up when he's talking about it. Yeah,
that's interesting, Pete, because I didn't know that. But I mean,
you get their story. You get their story. We've got our app, and they tell you that, and you go over to their app and you read what they're saying.
Yeah,
like I've got to make that.
Get both sides. Yep.
Yeah, get both sides to find out why he left, and the way that they said it. You could. I think they were even yelling it out. I think they were yelling it out on the benches. Stop treating our guys this way.
Wow.
No bullshit. No bullshit. No bullshit.
But once you lose the players, that's the end of it usually. Isn't
it?
That's
it, isn't
it? You're done. You can't do anything if you can't have the respect of the player doesn't want to learn from it. So what's the point of you even being there? You're just like a bench. You're a bench warmer. Get out.
Absolutely. Now we got two more.
That's the case. Then warrant it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we got two more topics to cover before we fuck off to anyone who's listening when this goes up. We got the fan chants about Danny Rose and follow chant. That was on Jason's notes. So we'll let Jason start that bit up.
Oh, mate, every time I watch it, and obviously we know how good the Leeds support is. We know how loud they are, regardless how many they take to away games. We know that there are 12th man. But when you watch it and you listen to it, it just makes me happy. That follow one, the new one with obviously Furpo. I'm not a good singer, so I'm not going to sing it, but it's brilliant. And obviously they gave a bit of stick to an old Leeds boy, Danny Rose. If you boys know, he was the old academy boy, which when you they chatted it for a little while, and then when you actually get a clear a bit of audio for it, and you know exactly what they're saying, bit rough, but comedic effect at the same time. Just
lots of comedy's pretty rough like that. Drives in dark situations.
Well, apparently he retaliated to them and gave them this sign. Our fans, that he's obviously a sign that he's getting paid money. So I mean, fair play to him. He does look a little bit like Kevin Hart there at left back, but
doesn't he?
He does. He was some player in his day, so all due respect to him. And obviously to be still getting paid at the highest level, he's had a good career, and obviously it's continuing with Watford. So fair play to him.
Absolutely. Nickson, what are your thoughts on the chants?
Yeah, totally agree. We always come out in force. It doesn't matter where we are. It could be Ellen Road. It could be bloody anywhere. It could be in the middle of someone else's house randomly. Just put a game on the TV. Leeds fans turn out in force. If you support Leeds, you're loud.
100% they do.
Yeah, they turned out. They cheered the boys home. You couldn't ask for more in a supporter's side. And I've seen this thing. I'm always going on about my Facebook, but I saw this thing on Facebook. And there was a poll, and it said, "What?"
Can we make that a segment from now on? Not this episode, but Nickson's. I saw a thing on Facebook. Yeah. I'm kidding. Continue.
Well, make it a segment, but I saw a thing on Facebook, and it was a poll in one of the Premier League groups, and it said, "What side out of both the Premier League and the Championship has the best chance / turnout?" And Leeds had a resounding 2,000 votes above everyone else.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. Yeah, you forget watching it how even, and obviously we can't go to games because we're in another country, but for a while there we just got used to watching it without fans. But then when they're back, you forget how good it is, obviously with the fans. I mean, obviously it'd be amazing to be there, but even just as a spectator, and it just adds such another level to it. Watching our games with everyone allowed back in, which is brilliant.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely hard agree. Last topic is Rodrigo's performance throughout the game. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll go straight to Nickson because he looks ready to talk about that.
I was actually going to throw it straight to Pete. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, we'll throw it to Pete
because I'm going to bounce off him. Interesting points.
Well, Rodrigo played really well. He was very solid. He supported his other players, so he got into tackles. He was lucky not to get a yellow card against him, but
he was,
very lucky on the tackles. But he was full. You could see that all the players, not just them, that they had to win it.
Yeah,
they were doing all stops not to lose the thing. The way he ran back and jumped over his shoulder to get in front of him and get a free kick showed that much determination that. Coaches would have been up there giving him hell to say, don't do those. He wanted to be in front of him. So, the determination he had and the way he showed it that, he wants to keep Bamford out too. So he wants to perform to keep Bamford out. And, he needs to score goals. He needs to be to do the assists and all this sort of stuff and get back into defence and play. And well, one thing, he's faster than Bamford. So,
yeah,
in that sense. So that's a good start for him. They need to do it. And I've heard that Bamford still hasn't trained yet. So, because of that, well, that was it. Well, back on
ankle,
Bamford,
isn't it?
That it's the ankle he came in with when he first came in with.
Yeah,
it's the same ankle. I went back to the tapes. It's the same ankle he came in and he got treated the first time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, same ankle. So it's a problem ankle. So
yeah, damn. And now international talk. Australia and England internationals because it's international week or break or whatever.
No Phillips.
What do you think about Rodrigo though, Nickson?
We're going back there. Yep, great. Honestly, I do like seeing him on. I like seeing him, especially when he has his duos with Rafinha, as we saw the game beforehand. Beautiful. Absolutely clinical, beautiful. I'd like to see him. I actually think Bamford might be, and I don't like to shit on Bamford, but I think Bamford actually might be fighting for his spot back. Bielsa loves him, don't get me wrong. But
Peter
in
hates
terms
him.
of a player,
Rodrigo
plays way.
I've got to put some more
I just
lights
think he's
on.
got his head more in the game. He's looking around. He's just playing with like a much fresher, more invigorated attitude than Bamford has been. Now, you could mark that down to injury with his ankle. You could, chalk it up to injury, or you could chalk it up to age. What do you do? It's a good problem to have, like whether you play bloody Bamford or Rodrigo. However, in terms of when you pair two players together, I think a Bamford-Rafinha combo would be worse than a Bamford.
Well,
and
Rodrigo and
combo.
Rafinha have done so well together the last 2 weeks, like the last 2 games. I think you'd be stupid to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, they're great. Yeah, no, they're
well,
really
that's the thing with
I was going to just say, I was just going to say
right.
they are so good together up the front because they're not falling over each other. They're staying apart from each other, and that's given, Click chances to have a shot. Dallas had? Oh, no, who was it? Dallas.
He had a go, didn't he?
Yeah, Dallas had 2 over the bar. Others, I think Dan James had a few block chances. Everyone had more chances to score around them, but the way that Watford set up with 3 up front, and that's why we controlled the middle because they had 3 up front and 8 at the back.
Yep.
It was just really hard for us to get there. But the one thing is that they moved away when players were coming through to break up the thing. But Watford didn't move. They didn't follow the defender, the attackers. So that made it really difficult for them to score. But it was, the clinical part is that they still persisted in trying to get a goal. So that was a good thing.
They
did.
Chased everything. So,
one thing you said, Pete, about being clinical with, like, Rodrigo's come in and he's done a job. Like, he runs, he tackles, like you said. He's able to drop in and receive and also dictate play a little bit in that final third. But the only thing, I guess, the only slight thing that bugged me a little bit is his I guess, we as a team overplayed, but there was one opportunity in that first half where Rafinha whipped a 50-meter
it was perfect
to him. And I think there, as it's coming over his shoulder, the type of player he is, whether it's confidence or not, in my mind, I'm expecting his first touch is taking him towards goal, and then he's going to finish. He's going to put a shot in on goal. Whereas it's a perfect ball, and it's coming over his shoulder, and he looks to lay it back to Dallas, and it gets intercepted. Obviously, team first mentality. You can't knock him for that. But I think I'm just thinking in my mind: does Bamford look to take that touch and finish
over that? I see what you're trying to say. Yeah.
So I guess in terms of him being clinical, if he takes his chances, that we create in the next couple of weeks, again, it might be a similar problem. I guess with does he keep his spot over Bamford? And there's even an extension of that debate that I know there's a fair few Leeds fans that talk about it online about should we actually have 2 up front and have them both playing, side by side.
We've been talking about that for years. 2 up front. We had 2 up front 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just because there was Roof and Bamford.
We had two up front last season, didn't we? We had two up front last season even.
Yeah, and so why go to one? That was
maybe try and keep the opposition on their toes because they were getting used to us by the end of last season. Maybe change it up a bit, but I agree we should have two up front. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing, as we said, if we had the two up front, like we had, Pablo Hernandez, the general.
Yep.
He used to supply Bamford and Roof the ball. And at the moment now, okay, Phillips a little bit maybe carrying that injury, just wasn't quite giving the ball, although Click was, and Shackleton sometimes got into there to pass it to them. And it was just a little bit too quick because Shackleton on a run kicks at the same pace as he's running.
Yeah.
And the ball travels quicker.
Yeah.
And you get the ones that are slow running, they can give the perfect ball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's down to, do we get someone like Hernandez back again or someone similar? We that's what was like, because that's when we had him in the middle and they said Phillips was beside him and Dallas was floating to fill in places where he could fit. Even the commentator said he's floating. He just floats where he can find, and then he scored a goal. So he does everything. So in that sense, and then we had the two up front, and that was the challenge with them: who could score most goals. With Bamford up front, who's challenging him?
Yeah, exactly.
We're definitely missing a player like. Obviously, they don't grow on trees, but we are missing a player like Pablo in that side.
Yes,
I think with his system, it relies on that. The overload in the wings. So obviously that, like we said, I don't know if Bielsa is ever going to change his ways. Which I'm not complaining about. I guess probably can't complain about it too much given where we are. But it would be interesting to see us with a two strikers up front. Definitely.
Yes, true.
What are your thoughts on that?
We'll see what happens in the next game anyway. So
absolutely. And what are your thoughts on what they said, Nickson?
It would be entertaining. Yeah, to see two up front. I'd love to see some variation where we don't just play Bamford as lone striker. I think we've become too reliant on it, as our selling point. Bamford up the front. There you go. That's look. It would be interesting. A little variety can't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what happens. It won't happen, but let's see. If they were to play it, I would not be opposed.
We can still talk about it, can't we?
We can dream. We can pray for it and we can dream, but there's not much else we can do unless we go and mail Bielsa through carry.
Absolutely. Now, international talk. England games and Australia games. Phillips has ruled himself out due to a calf injury. We covered that just a little bit earlier with Peter and how he thought that he might go. And that it's possibly more than a 2-week thing. So we'll get Jason first as our resident England fan, born in England, over in Australia now, obviously, but he's in England till he dies. How do you think the team is taking shape for their two internationals in this break?
Oh, look, I mean, they've got obviously a number of different players to choose from. I mean, Calvin will be a big loss to them, but it's also a slight win for us, I guess, from a selfish point of view, club level.
Yeah.
England are playing Andorra on Sunday morning. Obviously, expected to probably win quite handsomely. You don't see. They just expect to get maximum points and come home. To be honest, that group that they're in, obviously England, San Marino, Andorra. Poland are in there. So I mean, the group that England are in isn't that strong, with all due respect. But they're expected to probably win both games and then come home as much as I could probably extend on that. And it gives me added I guess, feels getting up and watching England and seeing how Calvin goes. So I'm disappointed that I won't get up and watch him in the team at the same time.
Are you going to get up and watch it though?
Oh, I still will. Definitely will. It'll just be business as usual. Get the win, probably a nice clean sheet with 3 or 4-0 win. That's probably what you'd expect of, and then back on the plane and come back and to the promised land playing the Premier League again.
Yeah, that's fair. And traveling over to Peter and Nickson to cover the Australia versus Oman game coming up 5:30 a.m. tomorrow Australia time. We also play Japan on Tuesday the 12th, as in the Australian Socceroos football team. We'll cross over to Pete first for his thoughts on how he thinks Australia Socceroos will do against Oman tomorrow. I think it's Saudi Arabia where they're playing, or Qatar or somewhere.
Yeah. I think they've got a good chance in the first game. Japan might be a bit tough for them.
I think so. Yeah.
And, I haven't, the coach or manager, never rated him.
Yeah, why not?
Well, he was a striker for Australia, and even at his time, they knew he wasn't, up to mustard to try and keep Australian forwards going, because he was supposed to be helping young kids to become forwards in Australia, and he just totally dismissed it. When from the Australia B side, there was one. Over the years, he just wouldn't do it. So
also, don't forget though. Yes, striking is important, but also goalkeeping is just as important in the game. Do you rate Matty Ryan against Oman and Japan, Pete?
Ryan's good.
He's the captain.
He's still agile enough. I think with the back line they have, I think that makes him a lot more better. But
I think so.
I just can't see the speed of Japan and the skill rate they've got. Japan is going to just overwhelm them.
I agree.
Japan's still, they're still in a set height. They've got a few big fellas in the back line, but I think our format, I think we play the same format every game. We're not mixing the play up at the way that they want it, that they're allowing us to play.
Yeah, no, I get you. Absolutely.
So what is the Australian style? Because I obviously live in Australia, but I watch mainly England games. It's not that I don't have anything against Australia.
I live in Australia. I've been born in Australia. I still watch mainly England games.
Yeah. Well, what kind of style do they play? Like, is it modelled off of like a possession game? Or?
Well, no. Mainly years ago when 74, I think.
We're talking
and
about
the last one in Italy. It's against Italy when they lost. Against Italy. So they were a no-nonsense, true to form. Never took a dive. They rode tackles. They scored goals when they wanted to. Some spectacular ones. But they.
So how do they play now, Peter? Is what Jason's asking.
Now. They're not quite up to the level. They,
I think they'll qualify for the World Cup. I think they'll qualify.
Where are they sitting in that?
They'll definitely qualify. They've got to win this game. They've got to win this next game.
Well, we've won 10 qualifiers on the trot, Jason. For the record.
We've got to win this game and then hopefully a draw at Japan.
Yep.
That's my thought anyway. So
I agree. We've won 10 games, as in 10 qualifying games in a row since the qualifiers started.
Good run.
I think we will beat Oman. I don't know how comfortably though, but to also answer the question, we're kind of we play a bit hesitant, for lack of a better term. And I'll word vomit. I will take it over to Nickson to round out the episode with his thoughts on the Australia-Japan to make him actually think about Australia instead of England.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for your hospitality, CJ. No, look, I think Japan will draw, or lose, but hopefully draw, because at least I still support the team. Doesn't mean I watch them all that often. Because I think they play a very, less sophisticated game.
Yeah, very bland.
England would.
They're very watered down. They're a watered down version of England.
No, they're like the Bud Light of beer. Watered down, very close to water beer, and let's just say England's like a nice Bolter.
I was going to say Australia's the VB and England's the Bolters.
Get off it. Nah, look, we could do a positively mediocre turnout.
Yeah,
that's the nicest word I could say.
Yep.
I think we've got Oman in the bag.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got Japan at Japan. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's just see how it plays out.
They're a quality side, aren't they?
Our press on
Japan, absolutely.
Instead of holding back and playing conservatively and keep passing back to the back line, if we can get our press on, then we'll have a better chance. If we can sort of intimidate them first, get in there, get really aggressive in the starting maybe 25, 30 minutes, then I see both of those games as those 2 wins.
To be fair, what you said, Nickson, about like not, obviously comparing the Australian level into an England level internationally. To be fair, I actually watching England is obviously playing teams like Andorra and Hungary, where England just dominate possession and keep the ball. The game sort of moved at an okay pace. I remember watching the World Cup and the commentator saying, "Oh, they're just pressing so high," and I was sat back relaxing. I was like, "Why do I not feel like I'm going to have a heart attack?"
They just do it.
Watching Leeds, get the job done.
It's just go all the time. So even comparing watching Leeds to watching England, watching England's nowhere near as personally as exciting as.
What about the Euros final though? Was that exciting for you?
It was exciting all the way up to the point until the penalty shootout. And I don't want to talk about it.
No, that's fair. I was meaning, was it stressful though, compared to how you're normally relaxed watching England?
Penalties. Obviously when the regular group games, weren't stressful.
Okay.
But obviously when we talk about finals, I was there riding them home. Like I would have game.
I thought it was coming home. I was at work. We were listening. Like I thought it was coming home. When it got to penalties, no nails. Like they were gone.
Anything can happen when it goes to penalties, and unfortunately,
you got the people that say penalties just aren't a fair way to decide games. I don't know. I'm not the expert.
But we like to be. We like
to somebody else.
We like to be.
Yeah.
So, who here's an expert on penalties?
We are armchair experts.
Yeah.
Penalty.
The only thing I'd probably say about that, I've tried to put it out of my memory because it didn't happen. But the only thing that I would say about that was that Southgate, when the time was right to make subs, made no subs. And then obviously it's probably been covered multiple times. He brought on obviously Rashford and Sancho, didn't get a kick of the ball before the whistle went. They obviously their first kick in the game was one of the biggest penalties of their lives. That was obviously covered a couple of months ago, but that's all I remember of that. And then the aftermath with the racism stuff, which wasn't very nice either. So
that was awful, absolutely.
Yeah, and to be honest with you,
I was going to say real quick, for the record on the podcast, anyone listening, we do not support racism of any sort or any type of bigotry in any extent. Go ahead, Jason. Yeah,
100%. That when I came to obviously accepting that we lost, in part of my mind was saying to me, I'm actually the tiniest little bit glad that we didn't win, because it sort of raised a lot of issues that obviously around racism and things, and it sort of, I guess, contributed to a bigger cause. So
it's a little bit of a silver lining in disguise.
They were so young. They're my age. I'm scrawny as hell. If I saw myself in their position, I'd look at the ball, look at the goalie, look back down at the ball, and go like, "No, screw it. I'm going home for a beer." I just couldn't do it. The pressure would just be too immense. I'd just take my leave and go. And for them to keep it together, their heart would have been pounding. Like, full credit to them. Like,
that's
full credit to the boys.
Job. When your whole country's riding on your shoulders, it's just awful.
That's when we talk about, obviously, Southgate's built a really strong, I guess, chemistry within the team, and he's done a really, really good job. But for me, the subs were at the wrong time, and for me, he's put two young boys in a position that they
shouldn't have been in.
Well, no. I mean, you're gonna have to give it to someone, but
Phillips,
give it to your leaders,
because
they've put them in Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
It is,
but that's in the back of our mind. We're away.
I'll
coming home for the World Cup next year.
Okay. Okay. It's coming home next year, is it, for the World Cup?
Yeah, well, that's what we're waiting for. The Euros is a poor man's World Cup anyway.
And you couldn't win that.
Well, I'm saving ourselves for next year. It's coming home.
Yeah, fair. Okay, I think we'll end it there, unless Nickson, you got something else or something you want to say?
Nothing. I agree. Coming home next year. Come on, England. Let's do it.
Let's
do it.
I do just want to say thank you very much, Pete, for joining us. And I hope people enjoyed Pete on here. We will have him join in the next episode as well. So I'll click stop recording.
I got to pay.